Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Kingsville podcast, where every conversation we have on this platform is meant to educate, is meant to evaluate, and is meant to help edify the minds of our young leaders in today's society. And once again, we're not alone. As always, we have a special guest today. With us today is our brother, Mr. Anthony Nolan Jr. He is a PK. He is a father. He is a husband. He's a good friend. He's a brother. He's in the financial services for the past 10 years now, so almost a decade and counting, specializing in life insurance and annuity. Mr. Anthony, welcome to the show. How are you?
Doing awesome, man. Thank you for the invite.
Of course, man. I know we've been trying to schedule our time. It's just been very, very hard to get that going. But hey, we're here and let's get into it, right? Of course. For today's episode, we're going to talk about building wealth, right? Building wealth in today's society and within our community. And by building wealth, I just don't mean working a 9-to-5 job and coming home and barely making ends meet. So I wanted you to come on this platform because you're a young entrepreneur like yourself to speak to us about certain topics not certain topics, but particularly this topic that I think is going to be beneficial for a lot of people. So first off, tell us, how did you get into the space of financial services?
So I got into the space back in 2015, and at that time I was in school, I was in college, and I'm also a musician as well. So
Nice.
I grew up playing bass guitar in church and everything since I was a kid. And one of my good friends at that time, we're still good friends today, he basically just had a conversation with me, invited me out to an event, and walked in. It was a lot of energy, kind of a weird situation, but it was cool nonetheless because I saw a lot of people that looked like us that were, talking about, wealth, talking about making more money, talking about retiring their parents, talking about, leaving legacy and the whole nine. And so from there, that's how I got involved in the space and the industry. Got licensed probably within the next 2 weeks after that encounter, and really the history. That's how I got involved, man.
Oh man, it took that one event that changed the trajectory of your life and changed pretty much the course of the entire family. Well, shout out to your friend, man. Sometimes the Lord puts people within our path to literally not redirect, but just give us that nudge that we need to the next portion of our life. So that's awesome. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. First question of the day: what is generational wealth to you? What does that mean? Generational wealth.
Well, listen, man, my opinion about generational wealth is it may be a little bit, I don't know if the word is skewed or maybe just a different opinion about it. Well, I'll give you the answer. Generational wealth is simply just being able to pass down wealth from generation to generation. And I want to keep maybe the question towards, the African American community, maybe minority communities. I think that generational wealth is one of those things. It's kind of like a myth. Everybody talks about it. A lot of people don't understand the true magnitude of it. They don't understand the work that comes with it, the mindset behind generation. And it's just something that, if you hear anybody talking about it, it's like, hey, I may work corporate 9-to-5, stuff like that. And, hey, well, what's your goal in life? Generational wealth. Well, how are you going to do that if you only make $20 an hour? What generational wealth are we talking about? I just think the mindset is a little bit different there, but overall, it's just something that we pass down from generation to generation, and making sure that the wealth stays inside of whatever your last name is.
That's actually well said. Do you think generational wealth, when we speak of that generational wealth, does have to come in the form of currency, of finance, or can the wealth itself be attached to or tied to owning something, property, like you said, owning something and to make sure it stays within the last name? So does it have to be, a business, or does it have to be a systematic engine in place that brings forth the wealth and money?
Well, that's actually a good question. I think that it can be a mixture of everything. You may have wealth that is in assets, whether that may be gold or real estate or a business, right? That is an asset that pays monthly. It could be that, or it could be, other hard assets. So I think it's a mixture of both. I think it's a mixture of both.
Okay. Yeah, that I think so too. I think the one thing that our generation now, and you and I are about the same age, age group. So what our generation is doing now, and I see this with a lot of my friends, we're starting to quote unquote wake up, right? We're starting to get woke, quote unquote, to the idea of, oh, the 9 to 5 is not it. The so-called rat race is not it. It was in place for people back in those days to, make ends meet. But I don't want to make ends meet. I want to make sure when the end comes, things can be met, where
Right.
I
Right.
can absolutely take care of my parents, retire them, and make sure they're well taken care of, and take care of my kids and my spouse and all these things. So, yeah, I think
Right.
putting together a system, putting together a not just a business, but a system. I think that's what we get confused with. Most people think I kind of have to have a business in place, and then no, if there's a system in place that ensures, like you said, monthly payouts or something, and that system could be, hey, we have this plan that we got to follow, that we do, or we have in place, that we pass on this knowledge, and within this knowledge, it generates wealth. And so I think that's what we're not seeing, and that more and more of us are adapting to that. So
Yep.
then that takes us to the
I agree.
next question. No, go ahead.
No, I was saying I agree with you one thousand
Yeah.
percent.
So that takes us to our next question. What would you say? And we spoke of systems and so pretty much investments that brings about assets and stuff like that. So, what would you say is the proper form of investment, if there is a singular form of investment that one should always look into?
I don't think there's a singular anything
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to investing, because there's so many
Mm-hmm.
people that we know. Maybe they're celebrities, maybe they're people who are influencers,
Mm-hmm.
business people, athletes. There's so many different ways that you can invest. There's no one way to do it. Whether it's real estate, there are a lot of wealthy people that are in real estate, and they use that
Mm-hmm.
as an uh, of investment. You're in Florida, so someone that comes to mind is Grant Cardone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or looking at someone like our CEO, Pat PBD,
Mm-hmm.
he built a lot of his wealth in the financial services industry,
Mm-hmm.
but that's more a system, right? And then
Yeah.
you can look at like I'm trying to think. You could look at someone maybe like Jay-Z or 50 Cent, where you
Mm-hmm.
know investing in companies, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
Warren Buffett, they're investing in companies and they're getting shares, and then the valuation of those shares go up and things like that. So I don't think there's any one way to invest as long as you
Mm-hmm.
invest, right?
Correct.
There's many people that there's so many people in our demographic that again we talk about generational wealth, but they're not investing, or they haven't even thought about investing. And I've
Mm-hmm.
always been taught, if you look at the Bible, I'm a believer. If you look at the Bible, it talks about, the master and the talents, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you're just gonna put your talents in the ground and just save it for a rainy, you're not gonna go be, put your money at risk, or have some risk that's involved. Is
Mm-hmm.
you're not investing. What are we talking about here?
Absolutely. And you touched on it too. A great answer, by the way. Thank you for that. The idea of looking at where you are, using your resources as a element of study, or like a playing field, right? Based on where you are, based on the people that you see have done it before you. I always question people who said, "Well, I don't have any money to invest." Right? My thing is, because I also work in the financial space, right? So you're on the service side, and I'm on the client face-to-face, business-to-business transaction side of things. So we're both in the financial field. We're both in financial servicing fields. So when people always come in or looking to invest, when I talk about investments, people say, well, I don't have that much in. I mean, I don't want to, I don't know where to start or this and that. One of my great mentors told me one time, Daniel, you want to invest, the amount that you want to invest is something that, the amount that you want to start with on your investment is something that you won't miss the next day. Cash laying around, if you can put something down and not look at it and then let it build money for you and you won't miss it the next day, that's a good percentage of chance of this. Because I remember I
Yeah,
asked him, like, I don't have thousands of dollars to invest. I don't have a million. He's like, how much you have in your bank account? And I told him. he's like, are you going to miss X amount of money if that just gets taken out right now? I'm like, no, because I get paid like next week and I'll be fine. He's like, okay, then look at it like that. If you won't miss that $20 or $50 right now, invest into it. And there's so many ways to start investing little by little, right? There's so many things at our disposal. We have your high yield saving accounts that you can put money in as an investment tool first to see if you can discipline yourself, because the word investment also is attached with discipline. Because if you're speaking to a CPA and you tell them I want to invest, they're going to say, well, are you looking to aggressively invest, or are you looking to just gradually invest?
Right.
A good CPA would tell you, well, if it's not going to be aggressive, don't, you got to have a long goal that you want to set aside. And there's a lot of tools that you can use. You have Robinhood, you have Fidelity, you have Vanguard, all these other tools you can invest yourself and start building your investment portfolio until you get bigger and bigger and bigger. Because you got to understand, your money needs to make money for you, right? And that's the one thing our society, we don't see that as far as like my money making money. What do you think that is? What do you think we as not just African Americans, but the minority groups, we don't really see money as a tool to make money?
So are you asking what do I think? Just repeat the question again. I'm just trying to make sure I
Yeah.
understand the question.
Why do you think the African community, the African American community, or the minority community, I just say, we don't view money as a tool to make more money? Because with the phrase, you got to spend money to make. But for us, it's like when we work 9 to 5, once we get it, we want to hold on to it as if we're going to take it with us. We don't like to invest. What do you think the idea of investing into something other than the 9 to 5 becomes such a taboo, or people like to stay away from within our community?
Well, it's all mindset. These are all learned behaviors. It's all learned behaviors,
Mm,
and again, it's mindset. So if I saw my parents and they weren't avid investors or savers or whatever the case may be, the chances of me doing it is going to be slim. It's going to be slim, right? Unless
okay.
somebody who was named James Brown, he started talking to me about that stuff.
Yeah.
Mindset first is learned behavior, and a lot of times we look at money to pay bills,
Yeah.
right? We follow this concept, and by the way, I speak this way just simply because I'm a person from experience. I'm just speaking from experience. So
Yeah.
the philosophy a lot of times is you go to school, make good grades,
Mm-hmm.
graduate from college, get you a good job with benefits, and then you
Mm-hmm.
retire never, right?
Yeah.
That's a philosophy that we were taught, and so that over the course of generation to generation,
Mm-hmm.
of course we're not investing. Of course we only look at the paycheck to get us to the next 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Because you gotta pay the water bill, you gotta pay gas, you gotta pay the car note, you gotta pay, and then your biggest expenses, guess what? Your house, you gotta pay the mortgage and all that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the month, you don't have anything to invest. So
Correct.
my one thing, the learned behaviors, and then lastly, a lot of times for most people live paycheck to paycheck. 70% of the country lives paycheck to paycheck. And there's nothing left. Then how are you supposed to invest?
Wow. Yeah, that is absolutely true. And that number is statistically, it's actually alarming. I think it's actually increasing, actually.
Yeah.
It's actually increasing. I uh, I was actually speaking to an individual yesterday, and I was talking to this young lady, and I was trying to we're just chit chatting, and then made mention about a certain shift of currency, how everything is going, and I was like, well, right now the biggest thing one can do is get yourself a good bank account and put your money in a high yield savings account. No, I don't like people. My money's for me. I work hard for my money. This and that, and I don't want the white man taking my money. I'm just like the African American. I'm like, the white man won't take your money, right? Like that idea of they're gonna take your money is absurd. So who do you bank with? And then they ended up telling me the institution in which they bank with. I'm like, do you know actually that bank is more likely to lose your money than anybody coming in and taking it, because it's an online banking financial institution. I'm not gonna mention their name because they're not paying for no promo time.
Right.
So they're gonna end up, if something were to happen, you would lose your money. It's not protected under the FDIC umbrella. They're like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm just like, do your research, right? So before you walk into a bank and want to put your money in there,
Yeah.
Do your
Right.
research. Like you said, the mindset and then the upbringing. Let's do our research. Let's do our due diligence in understanding what these banks really do for us, what these financial institutions really have to offer for not just my $5 going in every other day or every other weekend, but for my community as well. Because I think what makes a community strong is the understanding of the flow of finance, right?
Right.
One of my teachers told me one time, within the, with I think it was the Asian community, the $1 bill circulates at least 7 to 8 times before it gets used elsewhere. Meaning, I get paid today. I'll take my $1 and go to my brother who's down the street who has a Chinese restaurant. I'll buy food from him. He'll take that same dollar, give it to his wife, and his wife will go to his another friend who has a Chinese hair salon and get their hair and nails done. And then this, so they would rather go to their brother and sister within the same community to help each other grow the business grow versus go
Mm.
outside. But for us,
Yeah.
it's been known once we get paid, oh, I'm hitting up the mall, I'm hitting the Gucci store, this and that. We don't invest back into our own people. And just the
Yeah.
investment itself is not just me becoming rich, but how do I invest in you? How do I invest in Anthony's business to make sure he's also growing? Now, whether my investment is the one that makes or breaks him, doesn't really matter. But just the mindset of like, nah, I'm not going to go to him because, he's also like me and he might not succeed. So let me go to a white man per se to use my money elsewhere. No, investment is a mindset that surpasses just the, at least for me, that surpasses the me putting my
Oh,
money
you're right.
aside to save up for another day. But it's like, no, I'm going to invest in my brother's business. You know, uh, why is it hard for our people to think about investing? And I think you kind of already touched on it, but the mindset itself, but also investing on a sense of I need this for a rainy day, right? You kind of
Yeah.
touched on it. They have to do it for bills and this and that, but it's still kind of hard. Even after you pay your bills and everything, you still have a little bit left over, unless you're really at trying your darnest to make ends meet and you are stretching every single cent thin. And I've been there and I know how that feels. What do you think is still hard for us to overcome that mindset? Is it, you think it's surrounding ourselves with people of the same like mind, or
Yeah.
what do you think
Yep.
that is?
I definitely think it's being around the appropriate people, because always remember this: you're a product of the 5 people that you hang around the most. So if you hang around one, two, three, four, 5 people that have the same mentality as, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Ooh, girl. Ooh, boy. I'm trying to make it to the next week. Hey, we're in the line at McDonald's. Okay. Hey, don't get no cheese on that. Mama, I want cheese on my burger. We got cheese at home, right? So if you're around 5 people that have that same mindset, you're gonna be the sixth person that have the mindset. But if you're around five
Mm,
people that have a growth mindset, people who are talking about making more money, people who have vision, people who are investing, and when you put that together, you're gonna be the sixth person. So I think it's association is number one, and then number two, I think that people just need to make more money altogether, right? And so that's why you see a lot of people now are finding different avenues where they can supplement their income. They're making more money. It's almost impossible, and I can't speak for everybody, but I think
yeah,
it's almost impossible to just do one thing, especially if you're already struggling. You almost have to have another something that you do to buffer, right?
yeah.
And so that's where you get situations like what I do, right? I started off on a part-time basis, still could pay my bills, but guess what? I was doing this on a part-time basis so I could make more money. So I think number one, again, is associations, the people you're just around. And then number two is you just got to make more money, right? I think that those two things put together could lead to something great.
Well said. I like that. And if you hang around, you said if you hang around with 5 people, you are the product of that same, of that mindset, right? So I'm
Yep.
paraphrasing here, but you coined it better than I did. But um, that is absolutely true. Because even in the scripture, if you want to look at scripture, it says, um, you know, if you hang around for those who are fools, you too, you become a fool. All right, the
Or
company
or
of
if you've
fools
heard this one, or if you've heard this one, birds of a feather flock
fl-
together.
flock together. There you go. There you go. Absolutely. Yeah. it's interesting because I think we've been like that as individuals, especially as men. And when our boys wanted to play football, I wanted to play football. When my boys wanted to play basketball, I wanted to play basketball. It's funny because even at a young age, we are not taught, but we are presented the idea of go with the flow of the pack, right? It's the pack mentality per se. Unless you were raised up in a household where your parents challenged not just you, but gave you the freedom to challenge things and say you don't have to do what everybody's doing, right? Yes, you want to play basketball, hang with your friends and that, but you don't have to, and it's kind of scary how that carries over in our adulthood where we still do that. We still behave as children in that aspect and not even knowing it, or some people know it and they don't really care. But I've seen where somebody was taken from one environment and placed into another environment, and then they thrive in another environment because not only did they figure out, oh man, I really have this within me, but they didn't even know this was at my disposal. They didn't even know this thought process was a thing, right? They didn't even know, wait, I can do this thing and it can come out this way. Yeah, yeah. So, like you clearly said, it's what we are associated with and the opportunity to make more money, to create a second hustle, which brings us to the second portion or another question. You saying like you give an example of yourself. What you do now was a part-time then. All it needed was an introduction to this is a chance. This is a possibility. Stick to it. Here's the blueprint. And that's the crazy part. Most of the things that can get us to a point of success kind of already has a blueprint in place. And if there isn't one, find someone who have done it similarly to what you're looking to do and utilize that. But that takes time, that takes effort. We understand you got to go to work, 9 to 5. If you're a single parent, you have kids, you got to come home too, got to put food on the
Yeah,
table. So it's kind of hard to break the mold of that mindset and get out of it. But going with what you do as an individual now, as a financial service professional right now, break down for us a little bit. What is it that you do and how you help people become financially free from the 9 to 5 job?
absolutely. So I guess by definition, I'm a life insurance agent first. Okay. So I've held a license for almost a decade, as I said before. And so I'm a life insurance agent first, but I
Mm-hmm.
also give people an opportunity to do the exact same thing that I do, but more on a part-time, spare time basis. Okay. And the reason why is because, my dad always told me this. He said, whatever you do from 9 to 5 is going to pay your bills, but what you do from 6 to 10 can help create a legacy. It can help set you free, can help you become financially free. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that most people complain about what they do from 9 to 5 and they don't do anything with 6 to 10. They're
Yeah.
hanging out, they get off work, they're, the hustle and bustle of life. Some people are just watching Netflix and chilling and
Mm-hmm.
all the type of stuff. But just more specifically, what I do, I'm a life insurance agent. I help build people their own agency, if you will. So we give people the opportunity to, control their schedule, make the money that they want on their
Mm-hmm.
terms, and we give them support. I give them support, coaching, mentorship, the whole nine.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really good. And he's a really good life insurance agent. Trust me, I got my life insurance to him. And we've been friends since. I was like, well, I think we met through another individual, and then maybe we've been friends since. The question that I have is, you said life insurance. That's another. Now I won't say taboo, but that's another scarce word to use within our community. Life insurance. That means I'm gonna die, right? People think that. And it's funny because I hear it within our African American communities, Hispanic communities,
Yep.
Asian communities, you name it, right? The generations before us never really took the chance to understand what that is. Now we know, you and I know, and other people within our field knows. So my question is, would you say a life insurance policy itself is a form of an investment for an individual?
It can be. It can be. And say everything with respect that there are people out there that possibly may have been burned, with
Mm,
life insurance. just as well as other stuff. You know, that I know people have filed claims on car insurance and perhaps didn't get the claim that they thought that they were going to get. Right, but
Mm-hmm.
guess what? It's against the law to drive a car without car insurance. You got to have it, so you buy it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it can be as long as it's structured the proper way. Now, I do think that life insurance isn't a one size fits all. So some
Mm-hmm.
people just need term, right? Some people just need term, and some people are going to do a mixture of both, maybe term and then permanent, maybe use it more for, I guess, the cash value element. But there's no one size fits all. It's just more so just sitting down and seeing what makes sense for an individual. But can it be used as a form of investment in a way it can if it's structured the right way?
You touched on the two forms, the term or the permanent one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you just simple terms, quick breakdown the difference between the two?
Oh yeah, I'm actually very good at this part right here. In terms is very simple. It's what we call pure life insurance, right?
Mhm.
So term essentially is like renting an apartment. If
Okay.
you've ever rented an apartment, at the end of the lease, the management company doesn't give you your rent back. Right?
Okay.
So what term is you can get it for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, some companies 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just a beginning and then there's an end. So that's called pure life insurance. And then you have permanent life insurance and it can cover you for the entire duration of your life. There's no, beginning and then there's an end or it's not term. But permanent, essentially, there's going to be, and I'm using like hypotheticals or
Mm-hmm.
illustrations. So, let's say there's two buckets inside of the permanent policy. The first
Mm-hmm.
bucket is essentially the death benefit, right? The
Mm-hmm.
face amount. And then the second bucket is what we call cash value. Okay. And some cash value, some policies like an IUL or maybe a VUL, it can grow, interest that can be very competitive. And then some of them aren't really geared towards cash value. There's some, but it's not a lot. It may be geared more towards just a permanent death benefit. But essentially that would be the difference between the two.
Okay. You also touched on IUL or the other one I just skipped me. I'm listening. I'm following along, but it just skipped me. You said it's more aggressive. It's more competitive. Why is that?
As far as the IUL or the
Yeah.
VUL.
IUL
Okay,
and
so
VUL. The difference between the two.
yeah, so over the course of maybe the last 30 years, when we look at the market, the historical returns are roughly maybe 8 to 9%. If you looked it up on Google, the historical returns from the S&P 500, the Dow is
Mm-hmm.
usually around 8 to 9%. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so with an IUL, essentially there's a floor and a cap. Floor may be 0%, which means that you can't lose anything, and
Mm-hmm.
then the cap to around, let's just call it 9 to 10%. And
Mm-hmm.
so anytime the market returns, if the cap is 10, if the market returns 9%, you get 9%.
Mm-hmm.
If it were 8%, you get 8%. Anything
100%.
over the cap, company's gonna keep. Anything under the cap, you don't under the floor, I'm sorry, you don't lose anything. So you're not affected by losses. So that's what I was saying as far as the competitiveness, it can be kind of comparable to other investments, just considering that the average return over the last 30 years have been 8 to 9% anyway.
So it's safe to say with the IUL, it's being utilized or it's mirroring the S&P 500s
Right.
and the ETFs. And then the VUL is what does that one mirror?
Yeah, so I'm not like a specialist or anything when it comes to
Okay.
the VUL because you have to have a certain type of license to market that or sell that one.
Okay.
But I do know V just means variable, so you get all the gains with all of the losses essentially.
Okay. And just for those who are listening or you're just not tuning in, like, what are they talking about? We're talking about life insurance and how it can be used as a form of investment if written correctly, if utilized correctly with the proper financial firm to help write the policies for you. And then the IUL is Index Universal Life, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken.
Correct.
And then the
Yep.
VUL is Variable Universal Life. And so he was talking about the term and the permanent life insurance. Yeah, so it's important, actually, very important for individuals to have a life insurance. If you don't have one, you should. And if you're tuning in just now and you're actually looking to get more information, I'm going to put Anthony's information at the end of the podcast. And if you're tuning in on Spotify or iTunes, it's going to be in the description of the episode. So all of our guests every field that they have any information that they want us to share, it's always in the description of the episode. If it's on YouTube, you're watching this live, it's on the bottom. The description is going to be, it's all going to be the same thing. And I believe with the agency that Anthony works with, PHP, it's also a link where you can click on it. It goes to automatically takes you to his information, and
Absolutely.
so if he wants to
Absolutely. And
share
if
that
I
too,
may, brother,
yeah,
if you want to shoot me a direct message on Instagram, it's Anthony Nolan Jr. ANTHONYNOLANJR. And then it's the same across all platforms, whether it's LinkedIn, it could be Facebook, all of them are the same. Anthony Nolan Jr., all lowercase letters.
there you go. There you go. And that's how we're gonna do it, right? And he's also on TikTok. So again, all of his social media plugs will be put as part of the description for this episode, because I'm a big believer of, yes, when our guests come on, they talk to us about what it is that they do, but you might be interested, you want to follow up and you want to give them information. I don't know everything, but I do know somebody who does know the thing that you're needing to do. And if I don't, I'll find out for you. That's the key of knowledge and wisdom that we have. I might not know everything, but I can find out who does, put you in
Yep.
there. Hey, here's such and such. This and that. Just how I met Anthony. We're looking for life insurance. Somebody knew somebody. I know a guy in Texas. He's in Texas. I don't even, you know what I mean? Like, it just clicked, and then we've been friends since. It's important, just like he mentioned, it's important just to have a life insurance, as important as it is also to have a car insurance on your vehicle, because you never know when you will expire. You don't want to leave your family with that burden to, come up with the covering cost of the funeral. Some companies have
Yep.
them, that's great. And you can have one that you can have actually, can you get up to a certain amount of policies, right? Like, you're not capped at a certain, like, there's,
You can get as much as you want. I won't get into like crazy details,
yeah.
but there's what is called an income factor. So some companies will do 20 times or 20 to 30 times your annual income. Some companies are
Mm-hmm.
up to 4. It just depends, but you can have a lot of life insurance. I'll tell you, I don't know if you knew this, bro, but Kobe Bryant, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is a guy before he passed away, God rest his soul, but before he passed away, I mean, he was already a multi millionaire. Okay,
Facts.
but you look on Google, he left his family, Vanessa, I believe it was like $600 million off from life insurance.
That's not even basketball.
Yep, $600 million. And listen, we have a hard time spending $20 for a $250,000 or whatever it is, right? But if we're
Yeah.
talking about already a multi millionaire,
Yeah.
left his wife $600 million in life insurance. Because, and I'll say this part too, for the foundation for wealthy people, a lot of times, foundation most of the time is life insurance. Okay,
Mm.
because other people don't like to use their own money. Okay, that's why
No.
they have a lot of insurance, they have a lot of coverage and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
The second, you're looking at it like a house. Let's say the foundation is insurance, right? Second part, they may have some money, bank, 6 to 12 months of expenses, whatever it is in savings, maybe
Mm-hmm.
some money out there in the stock market to invest, and then real estate a lot of times will be last. And the reason why is because that's people's most that's their biggest expense, right? But if you
Yeah.
look at middle class, lower class, I'm just talking about the classes of people.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at that, their financial house is built completely upside down. They have very
Mm.
little, no life insurance at the bottom, right, for the foundation. Some
Yeah.
saving. They put money in their 401k because what? Mom and daddy and even auntie and them been telling them since they were a kid that, hey, when you
Yeah.
start working, put money in your 401k. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Start do that. And then you go to school, graduate, you start a family, you get married. And guess what? You bought a house now, your mortgage, and it takes you 30 years to pay that off.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Wow. But with the proper policy, the proper format of written life insurance, especially IUL, there's cash value in it. So, but that's awesome. Um, the next question would be, how can you help others invest, right? Like, you, the individual. For me, that's what I was saying earlier. I can help other people invest by just offering the knowledge that I have within the financial institution that I work for. I can also help other people invest by providing the resources and tools that we have at our disposal. You can use this, and that. But what say you? How would you, somebody comes up to you like, hey, Anthony, man, I want to invest. How can I start? What do I do? Like, what would be your first go-to or your reasonable response to help others to get to that mindset, helping them to
Absolutely.
invest?
So my first question that I ask people is why? Why do you want to invest? Okay. Well,
And how long?
you know,
How long? The why and the how long is key. Key.
exactly, because
Yeah.
a lot of people don't understand. Sometimes investing it can be a longer term play.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't see returns next week, right? Are you patient? So why do you want to invest? Number one, do you want to, are you trying to save up for retirement? Are you trying to put money down on a house in the future or something whatever it is, right? So that's number one. And then number two, we got to look at how much money you make, right? Because if you
Mm-hmm.
don't make enough money to, maybe put away, and I understand where, people may be struggling and that type of thing, then let's maybe talk about how we can increase your income. Because if I can help you
Mm-hmm.
increase your income, then we can have the conversation about
Mm-hmm.
you invest, right? That's how I was taught, right? At one point, it was just like, okay, well, listen, I'm upside down. My bills are 4,000, and I'm only making two. I don't know where the other 2,000's coming from, but we figuring it out, right? We
Some of these
rocking and
bills ain't
rolling.
getting paid. That's all.
You see what I'm saying?
Everybody's
And
on a
so,
rotation.
and so at that point, it's like, okay, well, Anthony, you got to get your income up. What can we do to increase your income? Okay, cool. Well,
Mm-hmm.
then we start having $6,000 a month. We start having $7,000 a month. We start making 10 grand, right? Okay. Now this is what it's like to, okay, maybe have some surplus. Now I can go invest that money. And then the next thing would be what we can invest in, because I'm not the expert on everything.
Yeah.
But eventually I want to get into maybe real estate, maybe in apartments and that type of thing, investing in other businesses, and selling businesses in the future. I want to do stuff like that. So, but I'm not the expert in that, but, perhaps have them, sit down with me to answer those first two questions. And then we have to put together a plan of how we can, do both.
There you go. That's all it is right there. That's all it is. And I like that you said, you pinpointed it. You made sure you differentiate. The investment could be a long term play, and for that long term, like you said, for retirement, for a big purchase, what it is, what you're trying to do. I ask the same questions too. If somebody comes into work, they want to sit down with a service representative, and I'm on shift that day, and think about investing this and that. Okay, so you know why and how long? And then my third question follow up was always, well, how much do you have now? All right,
Yeah.
how much you
Yeah.
have now, and how much are you going to miss it if you were to invest it? Are you looking to then further questions aggressively? Are we doing it gradually? Are you doing it? Are you being conservative with it? Are you being so I mean, so there's so many questions that you can ask, but those top two, the why and the how long do you have, followed up with how much you have and what's the purpose for a purchase or not. Those are key. And you mentioned to increase income that's coming in, the flow of income coming in. Look, there's so many things one can do right here, side hustles and this and that. I like the analogy that you also gave earlier. You said what your father taught you, you know, 9 to 5 to make a living, but 6 to 10 is to build your legacy. That's very powerful because we're not saying come up with the next best invention in the world and become the next billionaire overnight or overnight sensation, right? But what I want for all of us, the listeners listening in, if you're just tuning in, thank you for tuning in. Or if you've been tuning in, thank you for staying with us this long and this far in the episode. I know we're kind of like touching here and there about certain things. If you'd like for us to do a part two, go more in depth of the multiple revenues of investments, we absolutely can. Anthony and I can do our research it and come back and you hit you guys with it. But just start small, but just start. Don't look at the number. Just
Yeah.
start. Because, like I said, we talked about the purpose of the episode. The topic of the episode is generational wealth. You want to start something today that your kids are going to be proud of. You know, you want to start something today that your kids are going to be like, man, mom and dad really put this in together. Like, they started something. And by doing so, they're going to thank you, because if we are taking over our parents' legacy, you really sit down and think what your parents have been doing this far. And and you're in that position. Not to say that they were wrong. Let me clarify that. It's not like, oh, forget our parents, they didn't leave me any money, this and that, they suck. No, 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 no. They did the best that they could have done. We are proud of them. We are thankful for them. I never, never, no matter what conversation I'm having with the individual when it comes to, well, my parents, as soon as I hear them, I'm just like, stop. Your parents did the best that they could given what they had. You know, we're not talking about those circumstantial or those outliers of parents who are abusive, dangerous, this and that. We're not them. God will deal with them. But for the good ones, for the only ones that they did the best, give them some credit for what they have done. Now the choice is yours. You have the information. We have everything in the palm of our hands, dude. Our phones are like
Yep.
literally, our phones are everything. We're running all this episode right now. We got like technology. I have the camera here and I have this and that. We have a source of all these things so we can find a way to make something happen. So let's make it happen. That starts with you. The choice starts with you. The decision starts with you. I had this quote that I wanted us to like just dissect real quick before we go that I saw. Right? You can tell me your opinion on this. Do you agree or do not agree? A little
Okay.
something nice there. If you take control of your finances today, then you won't become a victim of them tomorrow.
You won't become a victim of what was the last part?
Of them tomorrow.
Mark.
So like, yeah, if you take control of your finances today, you control your finances today, you won't become a victim of your finances tomorrow.
Yeah, I would say I agree with that. I think it's more so just the mindset behind it. Because think about this, man. Donald Trump, okay, he's the president, okay.
Yeah.
Donald is a Uber billionaire, okay. He's extremely wealthy. How many times has this man gone bankrupt,
A
right?
lot.
But it doesn't matter how low the funds get, the cash, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
he get it back. You know, there's so many stories of people that maybe have became millionaires. So they're fixing the mindset from the jump,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they may have misstepped along the way. Maybe there've been some losses along the
Mm-hmm.
way.
Mm-hmm.
Because they made those corrections about how they think about money from the beginning, they're
Mm-hmm.
able to apply that in the future, just in case there are mishaps and maybe on some losses, and they can always get it back. You know,
Yeah.
there's so many millionaires that became millionaires that lost everything multiple times, but they end up getting it back.
Yes.
They fix the money problems and the money mindset from the jump or sometime along the way.
So you're
Yeah, so I would agree.
saying, okay. So okay. So you're agreeing with it, but you're adding a layer of also the mindset that you have that helps you
Yeah,
control the finance. Also,
yeah,
okay. Yeah, that is true because if if you have that mindset of constantly going and building and for the lack of a better term, we used Grant Cardone earlier, 10xing your revenue, you can take it all away. You'll just find another way to 10x the next thing. You
yeah,
know? So it's not
yeah.
what you do with the money it's not what you do with the money, but it's what you are doing to get the money, I guess is would be another way
Yeah,
of
because
looking at
think about it, bro. Think about how many people have won the lottery. So temporarily, their money problems may be fixed,
it. Mm-hmm.
but because they don't have good money habits, they don't have good a good money blueprint, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
They go broke within 2 3 years. Think about all the athletes, right? Most athletes go broke.
Man, they go broke.
That's for a
Athletes.
period of time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, so go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it.
No, so 'cause for a period of time, their money problems were gone. They didn't have to worry about money. But nothing was taught, nothing was learned, nothing was
Yeah.
fixed. And
Yeah. Athletes, rappers, artists, like one hit wonders, overnight sensations, Um, I guess the secret of getting ahead is just getting started. Like if you start today, your future you will thank you. If you start today, again, I always look at the decisions that I make today shape and mold my future for tomorrow, but also add another layer for myself. The decisions that I make today, I want it to be decisions that my future kids are going to be proud of, and they're going to look back and say thank you. Now, do they have to say thank you? No, because that's more like, oh, I did this for you. You should be grateful. No, I just know that they're going to be better off, and I know that they're going to be, taken care of. So I struggle today, so they don't have to tomorrow. I don't even have kids yet, but my mindset's already, I got to do it for them. Right? Once they are here, yeah, I got to do it. I got to do it for them, and live everything, for them to, enjoy that side of life that the 9 to 5s I felt like we were robbed of, because we have more living at the rate things are going. We have more time to live to die than to live to live. See what I'm saying? So, because we're constantly working, it's like you're just living till you die versus I'm doing something that buys back my time, because time is wealth, man. To me, the biggest thing in wealth a person can give you is their time. Give me your time and let's build something versus here's $5. Well, I'll take $5. I'll take $5 right now. But I just want to take the money. You feel me? So we need to just start as far as investing, start as far as putting together a system. And I'm going to say it again, like I said at the beginning of the episode, a system in place that generates that wealth, or that generates that mindset. And then what Anthony was saying, that puts you in a surrounding of the 5 people who have mindset like you, that you are building on something that's growing, just find you a network. And there's a lot of chapters. I'm not sure if they're in Texas, but I know here in Tampa, there's a Black Excellency chapter, right? It's called the Black Men's, no, Gentlemen's something. I forgot the name. Forgive me, but it's like a group of young African Americans who started like a chapter of their own. It's like a fraternity, but it's not a fraternity. It's the Black Excellence something. All they do is just hold events, to hold conferences, and they just discuss growth, investments, opportunities, what's coming down the market.
Yeah.
So they have people who are in real estate, people who are in financial, commercial lending, people who are in private lending, people who are in business lending. All these people who are in different sectors of e-commerce come in, and they have these conversations. They have these dialogues on what's coming down the pipeline, what they need to be looking for. People who are
Right.
traders, who do trades and stuff like that. So surround yourself with people like that, and just hear and see. And sometimes, you know what it is. Sometimes I kind of used to feel like this. It would be for the lack of knowledge. I didn't want to be around certain people because they'd be like, "Well, you don't know anything. Why are you here?" Don't worry about that. Do not worry about that. Just because you're the loudest in the room doesn't mean you know everything, right?
Right.
Can be in the room and
Yeah.
just talk, but they really don't know anything. They're just gas. So push yourself. Go out there. Go to events. If it's free, pull up. You know, Pretty sure every city has this Chamber of Commerce, right? Every city in the U.S.
Yep.
has Chamber of Commerce. Go to one of the Chamber of Commerce building and ask, is there any financial literacy courses or financial literacy meetings or whatever it is? Just go sit in one of those. You will be amazed about the information that you can get from those webinars, seminars, meetings, conferences, whatever they're hosting. You can walk away and be like, oh, that's a possibility. I've literally this year alone, I've participated in probably 5 already
Wow.
within the space of personal lending, because I used to do business lending before. I still want to do that. I still want to help consult, people get finances for their business. I still want to do lending. And one was for entrepreneurship. One was for real estate investment. So if you're talking about real estate, I know somebody that can plug you with real estate investment, how to, invest in real estate, buy duplexes or invest in duplexes in Atlanta, Georgia. The other one was for uh, uh, buying existing businesses where, you don't have to go in and have a business plan. You can buy a business that's already
Yep.
out there. You just need a certain amount of capital,
Wow.
but you just buy a business that's already out there and make sure it's a liquid business and it's a blueprint, fail-safe business that you buy and overseeing, and then you make percentages of their annual profit. So I mean, so like all this knowledge that we didn't know when we were in high school that we were previous to, so now we have it, can definitely help. Brings me to my last portion, and I know I chatted a lot. Brings me to the last question that I have for you. If you knew then what you know now, and by then I mean like when we were younger, when we were growing up in high school, if you knew then what you know now regards to investing and growing financial wealth for you and your family, what would you what would you tell your younger self? if you were to go back in time, and knowing what you know now about everything.
I I would I would probably tell my younger self that it's not too early to start, you know, and you don't have to be like you were saying earlier. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. You see, at some point in my life, man, I just wanted to be the cool guy.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
know what
you
I'm
are a cool
saying?
guy, brother. Come on now, don't say yourself short.
Cool guy, but whether it's chasing, the chasing honeys and stuff like that, or partying and all that type of stuff. That's what I was more privy to. I'm in a
Mm-hmm.
fraternity as well. So stuff like that. But the main thing, it's not too early to start, and I don't have to be the cool guy to go out here and go kill it in whatever space that I'm in. So I
Mm-hmm.
probably would have been more focused if I knew what I know now.
Yeah,
But other than that, that what I would have told myself, what I would tell myself. Yeah.
that's good, man. That's good. I always ask that question with all the guests, and just to see, the thought process, and most people like, man, if I knew all this information prior, I would have this and that. So, not to say that we have regrets, but you can kind of see your life story, how everything's playing now. We don't know what tomorrow brings, right? Only God knows. But you can sit back and be like, I wish I would have did that differently, right? That's not a form of regret. It's kind of, but it's not a full regret. It's just if I had that knowledge, I would have just tweaked this and that. We're grateful that we
Yeah.
have it now, but we know. Before I let you go, we did mention earlier, as far as like, is there one particular way of investing or stuff like that? And you made mention that you just got to find the proper, I guess the proper path, the proper trend you're trying to use. Would you say, is it wise to have at least 3 or 4 investments going at the same time? Or do you want to start with one and see if that one yields any good fruit, go on to the next one? Or like, how would you, right? Because I know most people, like if anybody's like me, I think a billion things at once. Like, I'm almost about to wrap up here. I'm thinking, okay, after this, we gotta edit it. I gotta chop it. I gotta pay reels, all of this and that. And after that, what I gotta post this. And my mind is already thinking of 3 or 4 things I can post just from this one episode alone, right? With people who are on the go, 9 to 5 grind, how would you say, or where's the best place they can start to invest? One investment at a time, or 2 or 3 to get the rules going so they can see how that looks like?
Um, so with something like that, I would say just start with one. Just start with one out, and you. It's kind of like this. If you have so many irons in the fire, not one
Mm-hmm.
of them can get hot. So I would just focus my attention on one thing, and maybe when you start seeing some success there, you can start using some of that money to go here and then there and then so on and so forth. But if you
Mm-hmm.
have spread out, it's like none of them are because think about it. If you have $1,000, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
more impactful, in my opinion. It's more impactful to invest $1,000 in something rather than to do $50 here, $100 here, $20 here, $200 here, right? No, just put
Yeah.
one thing, something that you believe in. Take the $1,000 if that's what your budget allows you to do. Then
Mm-hmm.
go take 1,000 and put it all there because the returns will be more.
That's true.
But
Well,
also a lot of risk involved too. But that's a part of investing.
hey, high risk, high rewards, right? Listen,
Or
thank you so much for thinking with us. And again, for those who are listening or tuned in, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Kingsville podcast. Like I said at the beginning, every conversation held on this platform is to educate, edify, and help evaluate the mindset, right? So we challenge the listeners and the viewers on what they can do better, what they can do to improve. The one thing we did not go into this episode, and uh, I think could be another episode. And Mr. Anthony, if you're free to come back on again, I wanted to have another individual with us, and they are a strong advocate of entrepreneurship. One of my really good friends, and he will come on as well too, so it can be like a panel of young Black men with the same mindset and we can discuss on helping our fellow brothers to stand up and get them in the right path of investing. Because the 9 to 5, nah, ain't it, bro. That ain't it. Ain't cutting it. They ain't cutting it. And we all can see that every paycheck, no matter how many hours you work, that paycheck, I mean, like that, they took everything. I know. I know. So we can help each other get on the right path, help each other get on that right mindset. Anything you want to tell the people before, we sign off and you know, where can they find you? What I know you said social media and stuff like that, but anything you got coming up?
I can't wait for the next episode. For those who are tuning in, or if you're going to see this video, again, you can follow me on Instagram if you want to shoot me a message. Instagram, Anthony Nolan Jr. Jr. Okay, and then Facebook, the same thing, Anthony Nolan Jr. across all platforms, TikTok, LinkedIn, all of that's the same, Anthony Nolan Jr. If you got a question or anything like that, I'm an open book, and we can chop it up.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. You know, it it's always good to have conversations like this and to challenge. Not I use the word challenge, but I don't think to me. So I think to just help raise awareness in this field that we are discussing, as far as it being wealth and everything of that nature. But again, you've tuned in to another episode of the Kingsville podcast. Thank you so much for being with us in this time. Please like, share, subscribe to the YouTube page, follow on Instagram, follow us on Spotify, iTunes, and all other social media platforms where all podcasts are found. Remember, stay safe, rise up. God's got you. We got you too. Peace.